Welcome to my channel, The Human Frontier. The first time I walked into the royal hall of the Astrian Empire, I felt like the smallest person in the galaxy. Which was strange, considering I was a human who had survived 2 wars, 3 pirate raids, and a starship crash that should have killed me. But nothing prepares you for standing in the throne room of an alien queen. The hall itself was enormous. The floor shimmered like polished glass, reflecting the light of floating crystal orbs that hovered in the air like tiny stars. Massive pillars carved from a glowing blue metal stretched upward toward a ceiling so high it seemed to disappear into darkness. At the far end of the chamber sat the throne. And on that throne sat Queen Lysera. She was taller than any human woman I had ever seen, her skin pale silver, glowing faintly under the chamber lights. A crown of sharp crystal points rested above her long white hair, and her eyes glowed with the unmistakable authority of someone who ruled an empire that stretched across hundreds of star systems. Beside her stood soldiers in sleek black armor. Around her stood nobles, diplomats, and generals from dozens of alien races. And standing awkwardly in the middle of the hall was me. My name is Daniel Carter, former salvage pilot and current prisoner of the Astrian Empire. Or at least, that's what I thought at the time. The man who wasn't supposed to be there. 2 weeks earlier, I had been doing what I always did, scavenging the outer asteroid belts for abandoned technology. Salvage work wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills. You find a wrecked ship. Pull out the valuable parts. Sell them. Try not to ask too many questions. Simple. But that day, I found something different. Drifting alone in deep space was a small escape pod. The transponder was dead. The hull was badly damaged. And inside was a young alien girl. She couldn't have been more than 16 by human standards. Her silver hair floated around her face in zero gravity, and her skin shimmered faintly with the same pale glow I would later see in Queen Lysera. She was unconscious. Barely alive. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know where she came from. All I knew was that if I didn't help her, she was going to die. So I did what any decent human would do. I rescued her. The girl in the escape pod. Back on my ship, I managed to stabilize her with a medical kit and a lot of guesswork. Alien biology isn't exactly covered in human flight training. When she finally woke up, she looked terrified. Her glowing violet eyes darted around the cabin. Then she saw me. For a moment, she froze. I raised my hands slowly. "Hey, easy," I said. "I'm not going to hurt you." She stared at me like I was some kind of alien monster. Which, technically, I guess I was. "You're human," she whispered. "Yeah. You saved me." "Looks like it." She studied my face carefully. Then something surprising happened. She smiled. It was small. Weak. But genuine. "Thank you," she said softly. "My name is Aria." "Daniel," I replied. That was the beginning of the strangest week of my life. A week that changed everything. Aria stayed on my ship while she recovered. At first, she barely spoke. But slowly, she opened up. She was curious about everything. Human food. Human music. Human stories. She laughed when I tried to cook. She asked a million questions about Earth. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. Out on the edge of space, that matters more than people realize. But there was one thing she never told me. Who she really was. The warships arrive. 7 days later, my ship was surrounded. It happened so fast I barely had time to react. One moment I was running a routine engine check. The next moment, a fleet of massive warships dropped out of hyperspace around me. Dozens of them. Black hulls. Glowing weapons. Astrian imperial ships. I stared at the radar screen in disbelief. "Well," I muttered. That's not good. Moments later, my comm system activated. A cold, professional voice filled the cockpit. Unidentified human vessel. Power down your engines immediately. I looked over at Arya. She looked terrified. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? They found me. Before I could ask anything else, soldiers boarded my ship. Within minutes, I was disarmed, handcuffed, and dragged onto an Imperial cruiser. Arya was taken somewhere else. I didn't see her again. Until now. The trial. Which brings us back to the throne room. I stood in the center of the massive hall, surrounded by soldiers. The court chancellor stepped forward. Daniel Carter, he announced. You stand accused of abducting a royal citizen of the Astrian Empire. My eyes widened. Abducting? Yes. That's insane. I rescued her. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The Queen raised one elegant hand. Silence fell instantly. Her glowing eyes focused on me. You claim you rescued her. I did. And yet she was found aboard your ship. Because she would have died if I left her in that escape pod. The Chancellor frowned. You expect the court to believe this story? Before I could respond, something unexpected happened. The massive doors of the throne hall burst open. The princess appears. Everyone turned. And standing in the doorway was Arya. But she looked very different now. She wore elegant royal clothing. Guards surrounded her. And a small crown rested in her silver hair. The crowd gasped. Because everyone in that room knew who she was. Princess Arya. Daughter of Queen Lysera. The heir to the Astrian Empire. My brain stopped working. You're a princess. I whispered. She saw me. And suddenly, her face lit up. Daniel. Before anyone could react, she ran. Straight across the enormous throne room. Past the shocked nobles. Past the confused guards. Past the stunned queen. And before I even understood what was happening, she threw her arms around me. The moment that shocked the empire. The entire throne room went silent. Princess Arya hugged me tightly, like someone who had just found a lost friend. You're alive, she said happily. Of course I'm alive. They said you kidnapped me. I saved you. I know. She stepped back, smiling brightly. You took care of me when no one else could. The nobles stared in disbelief. The soldiers looked confused. But the most shocked person in the entire room was Queen Lysera. She rose slowly from her throne. Arya, she said carefully. Yes, mother. You embraced the human. Arya looked confused. Of course I did. This is the man who rescued you. Yes. Queen Lysera turned her glowing gaze toward me. It felt like standing in front of a star. You risked your life to save my daughter, she said. I didn't know she was your daughter. Yet you helped her anyway. Because she needed help. The Queen studied me carefully. Then she asked a question that made the entire court lean forward. Why? I shrugged slightly. Because leaving someone to die in space is a terrible thing to do. Silence filled the hall. Finally, the Queen spoke again. Release him. The soldiers removed my restraints. The crowd erupted in whispers. The truth revealed. Queen Lysera stepped down from her throne. She walked slowly toward me and Arya. Up close, her presence was overwhelming. My daughter rarely trusts strangers, she said. But she trusts you. Arya nodded quickly. He protected me. He taught me human music. He even tried to cook for me. That last part was a mistake, I muttered. Arya laughed. The Queen looked between us. And for the first time, she smiled. It was small, but real. Daniel Carter, she said. Yes, Your Majesty. You were brought here as a criminal. Yeah, about that. But you will leave as something very different. I frowned. What do you mean? She raised her voice so the entire court could hear. This human saved the life of the Astrian princess. Gasps spread through the hall. Therefore, she continued, he will be honored as a protector of the crown. My jaw dropped. Wait, what? The chancellor nearly fainted. That title has not been granted to a non-Astrian in centuries. The queen nodded calmly. Then history will remember this moment. She looked directly at me. You did not rescue a princess for reward. You did not seek recognition. You simply acted with compassion. I scratched the back of my head awkwardly. Well, yeah. She smiled slightly. That is precisely why you deserve it. A new life among the stars. Hours later, I stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city of Astraria. The sky was filled with flying ships and glowing towers. Arya stood beside me. You're famous now, she said happily. Yeah, that's terrifying. She giggled. Mother likes you. That's also terrifying. She nudged my shoulder playfully. You saved my life. Anyone would have done it. No, she said softly. Not everyone. I looked out at the alien city. 2 weeks ago I was a lonely salvage pilot drifting through empty space. Now I was the official protector of an alien princess. Life works in strange ways. Arya smiled at me again. I'm glad you found my escape pod. Me too, I said. And somewhere behind us. Queen Lysera watched the two of us from the palace window, still stunned that the mysterious human who saved her daughter was now part of their world forever. Thank you for listening. Subscribe for more cinematic science fiction stories.